If you spend any time listening to right-wing talk radio or watching Fox News, you might hear ads for businesses that are not mainstream, and they're not marketed at all consumers. In fact, they're marketed at MAGA consumers.
Hey, conservative dad here. Jump in. We're going to go for a little drive. I got a woke beer Smoky on my tail.
This brand, Ultra Right Beer, is one of many MAGA brands that are designed to be part of a parallel economy aimed at devotees of Donald Trump and other conservative politicians. But even as Donald Trump has been, I think, remarkably successful politically, these brands have been less so.
And the brands are created in sort of a direct response to the notion that, I don't know, regular beer is not MAGA enough, is too woke?
So it depends. Some of them advocate for specific conservative-aligned causes. So Every Life is a pro-life diaper brand that donates some of its proceeds to pro-life causes. Other times it is just, the selling point is that it's beer, but MAGA.
And you say there is an entire parallel universe of them. This goes far beyond just the beer.
Yes, it goes to beer, cigars, obviously T-shirts, pillows. Some people around January 6th became familiar with Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, who is one of the biggest advertisers on talk radio and right-wing podcasts as well.
I can't bear it when My Pillow is too woke. So business is booming for all of these different things.
Not exactly. While Trump has done well politically and has been winning elections, these brands have done less well. So most of them, very few are publicly listed, but the ones that are have seen their share prices tank, even though they were kind of had a brief period of euphoria after Trump won the 2024 election. Since then, not doing as well. And even the small private ones, few report, success that is commensurate with, in theory, addressing at least half of the American public.
Well, exactly. The business case should be good. Why are they doing poorly?
Very few people want their consumer choices to reflect their political predilections. So even within, say you take, the largest possible group, which is maybe everyone that voted for Trump and even possibly Trump-curious Democrats, or say a pro-life Democrat, even within that, it's a much, much, much smaller group that wants politics to be part of their public-facing consumer choices. So if you think of something like a beer, if you go out to the beach, say, and you take some beers, people can see the label, and few people want to broadcast their political opinions through that kind of choice. Actually, where you see MAGA show up more in terms of consumer markets is not in supporting new brands, but in trying to press existing ones who diverge from their, political opinions.
How do you mean? How does that work?
So a kind of classic case is a boycott. So, for example, Bud Light really has taken a multi-year hit after a MAGA-led boycott in 2023 when it sponsored a post with a transgender influencer.
This month, I celebrated my day 365 of womanhood.
This drew MAGA's ire, and Bud Light lost its spot as America's best-selling beer, and in fact, even though it's been years since that, has continued to tumble in terms of its consumer shares. Sometimes the backlash has just achieved its goal very quickly. So, for example, Cracker Barrel last summer rebranded in a way that MAGA consumers interpreted as abandoning its kind of traditional Southern-themed positioning. And they felt that the new logo was woke in their parlance. And so there was a big uproar, and the company essentially walked it back and said, listen, we realize that this is a mistake. Clearly a large section of our consumer base is not happy with this, so we're going back to the original.
And so with that kind of example, people who would otherwise be buying less woke pillows are pressing those existing big brands into changing?
Yes. So I think Bud Light was particularly vulnerable for a few reasons. One is that, as I was saying earlier, beer is kind of a visible consumer choice. So people may not want to signal I'm a MAGA voter with their beer, but if they're in, say, a conservative crowd, they don't want to signal that they support, that they supported what Bud Light did. So they might choose a beer that signals nothing rather than choosing Bud Light.
I mean, it seems clear then for many brands the best idea is to not enter the war at all, but the war is kind of coming to their door in a lot of cases.
Exactly. You can say, bosses stay out of politics, but in a lot of these cases, politics didn't stay away from them.
Shera, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks so much.